Thank you for that beautiful music. Good morning, everyone. My name is Janice McPhillips. I'm a member of our Board of Trustees. My pronouns are she, her. As Unitarian Universalists, we gather here in an open community that honors freedom of belief, encourages spiritual growth in ourselves and our children, and shares the wisdom of the many religious traditions with reverence for the earth and in service to humanity. We gather here on ancestral land of the Massachusetts peoples, the original nations of this land. We are mindful that for Massachusetts people of every generation, this land is sacred. If you are visiting or newly attending our services, we extend a warm welcome to you, especially our musicians. You and everyone else is welcome to gather for coffee and conversation after the service at 14 Main Street. Please note in your order of worship this week's schedule of events here at Old Ship. If you have any questions, we have a little welcome table. You can stop by and pick up some information, and any member of our Board of Trustees will be happy to answer your questions. Our name tags all have a pink border around them. I do have one additional announcement to make, and that is that the Social Justice Council is doing a food drive for the Hingham Food Pantry this coming week. You can drop off items at the either 14 Main or bring them here to the Meeting House next week, which is Easter. And they are specifically requesting donations of either regular or decaf coffee, ground coffee, or small jars of mayonnaise. So that's a special request from the Social Justice Council, and Diane has something to add. Oh, correct. That's right. Lisa is away. So will they, oh, how would people drop things off? I guess they can't. Okay. Hopefully it won't be freezing all week. So yeah, the office is normally open, but our office assistant Lisa is away this week. Her son is getting married. Yeah, so if you see her, say congratulations. We're happy you're here with us today. We welcome you to bring all that you are to this congregation, your beliefs, your traditions, your identity, your story, and the wisdom of your years. You are welcome here. If you're looking for inspiration, comfort, or connection, we hope that you will find it here. Our morning service will now begin.
Good morning. This is also the kickoff of the pledge campaign, so the sermon today will not be quite the sermon that was advertised, but it's going to have a different name to it, the title to it. And I also want to thank my musicians for showing up to celebrate St. Patrick's Day a week late. We're aware that it's a week late, but we thought you probably hadn't done enough celebrating yet of all the glories of Irish culture, including Irish music. But here is a little quote from Emerson to get you in the mood. These roses under my window make no reference to former roses or to better ones. They are for what they are. They exist with God today. There's no time to them. There's simply the rose. It is perfect in every moment of its existence. Before a leaf bud has burst, its whole life acts in the full-blown flower. There is no more. In the leafless root, there is no less. Its nature is satisfied, and it satisfies nature in all moments alike. But we postpone or remember. We do not live in the present, but with reverted eye lament the past, or heedless of the riches that surround us, stand on tiptoe to foresee the future. We cannot be happy or strong until we too live with nature in the present, above time. So Janet will light our chalice.
Good morning. This congregation is so special to me, and being a part of this community is something in which I take so much pride. As we kick off our annual stewardship campaign, I light this chalice for all that we have been, all that we are, and all that we will be. The theme of this year's stewardship campaign is Together, Step by Step. And to me, that evokes the hope I have for Unitarian Universalism as my faith and for Old Ship as my home. I believe in our future, and I believe in us. And I know that together we can accomplish wonderful things step by step.
Our hymn is number 298, Wake Now My Senses. Please rise as you're able. We won't use that right there.
Morning. My name is Ralph Brown. My pronouns are he, him. I am a member of the Old Ship Pastoral Care Leadership Team. I invite you now to share any joys, sorrows, and concerns you have with us. A microphone will circulate among you. When the microphone comes to you, please remember that a joy shared is a joy doubled. A sorrow shared is half a sorrow. Please raise your hand if you wish to share a joy or sorrow or concern. Someone will bring a microphone to you. Please speak loudly, say your name, and say what you wish.
Hi, good morning. My name is Mary Murphy. My pronouns are she, hers. I just wanted to say a joy for the circle dinner that was hosted last night by Ellie and Clayton Handelman. It was wonderful that they opened their home to a number of us old shippers, and the conversation and camaraderie was really much appreciated. Thank you.
A joy for the circle dinners last night. Rick?
My name is Rick, and I have a candle of celebration for life, and actually celebration personally for life, because it was 10 years ago tomorrow that I had an arrhythmia, collapsed on the street, and resuscitated by Boston EMS. It's quite a thought to have that 10 years have gone by, and I've had 10 years of life that I at the time didn't realize was going to be coming my way. And gratitude for Sharon, who was my advocate during all of this episode. And also gratitude for people here at Old Ship who supported me during that time.
Candle of gratitude for your last 10 years.
Dana Kintai. Yes, I want to add a candle of concern for our friend Rick Sharp, who's in really deep trouble right now with his health. And a candle of thanks for our good medical system. My birthday was St. Patty's Day, and I spent it in the ER in New Jersey and got great medical care. Thank you.
Thank you, Dana.
Hi, my name is Karen, and I want to light a candle of, I don't know, the awesomeness of life. In July, my 26-year-old son had a stroke, which I think some people already knew. And in the end of February, he got married to his amazing wife and went to Ireland for a week, for 2 weeks. And they had a great time, and I'm just in awe of the way things go up and down in life. And it was an amazingly joyful time, and he's doing fantastically, and life is good.
A candle for the awesomeness of life.
Hi, Kate Feldman. I just want to have a candle of concern. My niece is having brain surgery actually tomorrow, so I pray that her surgery will be successful.
A candle of concern for your niece's surgery.
Hi, Brian McPhillips here, and candle deep sorrow. My good friend Mike Kandari and his family, they lost their son, took his own life last Tuesday at 23 years old, and no words, just the worst of the worst.
A candle of sadness for your friend's loss.
My name is David Robinson. You may remember me several weeks ago. I came to visit Edmund's nephew, and I have officially moved up to the area full time. I accepted a job when I was here a couple weeks ago. I was job hunting and doing some interviews and things, but I've officially accepted a job over in Norwell, which is right around the corner, and I'm living in Marshfield. So I start my new position tomorrow. Yep. So candle of celebration, I guess, for a new chapter in my life.
A candle of celebration for your new chapter. Do we have any joys and sorrows on Zoom? None. These candles also burn for joys, sorrows, and concerns that are not expressed, but nevertheless are deeply felt. Thank you.
Let us now enter into a time of meditation and prayer. We'll have silence for a few minutes, and then I'm going to do a prayer that I've done here a few times based on this hymn, The Spirit of Life. Most everybody, you use favorite hymn, 123, and we'll end up with the prayer. We'll sing it, but when you first hear me sing it, resist the urge to sing it, because I've got some spoken pieces that are going to go in, woven into the Spirit of Life. But first we'll have a moment of silence. fount of every blessing, ancient of days, weaver of our lives' design, day spring from on high, El Shaddai, Adonai, by whatever name or names we choose to call you, knowing they are only our attempts to name the unnameable. Come unto me, indwell here within each of us, not in some hereafter and not in some heaven above, but here in Hingham, Massachusetts on March 24th, 2024. Sing in my heart all the stirrings of compassion. Let us loose ourselves to resonate with the divine harmony of the spheres, a music so vast that we hear it only in fragments, but which has been sounding since the beginning of time. The music of the force which through the green fuse drives the flower, the force which is the most powerful in the universe, the force of love. Blow in the wind, the clean breeze which sweeps our minds of the cravings and cleans that imprison us. Rise in the sea, the salt blood which covers the earth and courses through our veins and reminds us we are each incarnated spirit. Move in the hand, these hands that are your hands, the hands through which all of your work in this world gets done, giving life the shape of justice, the justice which has been the cry of oppressed peoples since the beginning of human history. Roots hold me close. Let us never forget where we have come from. In the chaos and uncertainty of life, let us always be able to touch our familiar groundings. Wings set me free. Let us grow and blossom in unexpected and unpredictable ways as the Spirit leads us without fetter or tether. Spirit of life, come to me, come to me. Spirit of life, come to me. Sing in my heart all the stories of compassion. Blow in the wind, rise in the sea, move in the hand, giving life the shape of justice. Roots hold me close, wings set me free. Spirit of life, come to me, come to me. The choir has to week off, so I will give you a traditional Irish tale as told by William Butler Yeats. I went out into the hazel wood because a fire was in my head, and bent and peeled a hazel wand and hooked a berry to a thread. And when white moths were on the wing and moth-like stars were flickering out, I dropped the berry in the stream and hooked a little silver trout. When I had laid it on the floor, I went to blow the fire aflame, but something rustled by the door, and someone called me by my name. It had become a glimmering girl with apple blossoms in her hair that sparkled as she sang and ran and vanished in the brightening air. I have grown old with wandering through hollow lands and hilly lands, yet I will find out where she has gone and touch her face and kiss her hands and walk among long dappled grass and pluck till time and times are done the silver apples of the moon, the golden apples of the sun. Song of the Wandering Angus. Is Karen Churchill in the building? Well, then I think I'll read her responsive reading number 728 before her. (728), and we'll read this responsively. I'll take the straight type and you take the italic. Blessed are those who yearn for deepening more than escape, who are not afraid to grow in spirit. Blessed are those who take seriously the bonds of community, who regularly join in celebration and learning, who come as much to minister as to be ministered unto. Blessed are those who bring their children, who invite their friends to come along, to join in fellowship, service, learning, and growth. Blessed are those who support the church and its work by their regular, sustained, and generous giving, and who give of themselves no less than their money. Blessed are those who know that the church is often imperfect, yet rather than harbor feelings of anger or disappointment, bring their concerns and needs to the attention of the church leaders. Blessed are those who, when asked to serve, do it gladly, who realize that change is brought about through human meeting, who do the work of committees and stay till the end. Blessed are those who speak their minds in meetings, who can take and give criticism, who keep alive their sense of humor. Blessed are those who know that the work of the church is the transformation of society, who have a vision of the beloved community transcending the present, and who do not shrink from controversy, sacrifice, or change. Blessed are they indeed. Blessed are they as the offering plate comes around, who give generously, while you hear another Irish tune from our band. together, step by step. Our hardworking pledge committee has chosen together, step by step, as a theme for this year's drive here at Old Ship. It reminds me of a song Jacqueline and I like to sing on our walks in Lexington neighborhoods, written by my friend Bob Lucas out in Indiana. As we're putting one foot in front of another, we sing about taking life one step at a time. I like to travel one step at a time. Every step forward is one step I leave behind. 1 step, 2 steps, 3 steps, and on time goes by, and I simply walk along. I like to travel one step at a time. And the second part goes with it as a partner song, but we don't have a partner this morning. But the second part goes, one step at a time, life is sublime when it's one step at a time. So easy and free, just you and just me, wherever we go, the world is aglow. Oh, I like to travel one step at a time. One step at a time. Some days church life might change at the breakneck pace of a racehorse, but sometimes it moves forward one step at a time. Traveling one step at a time allows you to reflect on each stage of the journey. It's like we're pilgrims walking to Santiago de Compostela or some other shrine to see holy relics. But it also reminds me of the idea of covenant. You like to say that while more orthodox branches of Christianity are based on statements of belief, on creeds, Unitarians and Universalists and Unitarian Universalists are based on covenant. What is covenant? Covenant is at its most basic level a form of agreement. It is a form of agreement so fundamental that it affects many, if not most, of the structures of our lives. The word covenant comes from two roots. One is venant, which means traveling, coming, walking. And the other is co, which means doing it together. Put the two roots together, and covenant means walking together. Have you ever had a good walk with someone and fallen into a good talk with them so that you lose all track of time and place? Walking is a great activity for ruminating, turning things over in your mind. When I was serving in Chatham on Cape Cod, the Clergy Association took a collection and got the money to build a labyrinth there on one of the parks in brick. It's still there. It's a nice brick labyrinth. And we had a world famous labyrinth expert come and preach a little sermon at the dedication of the labyrinth. And she said, I'm here because to walk this labyrinth with you because I flunked meditation. If you can't meditate sitting still, you can walk and get much of the same stuff done in your brain that the meditation does for you. I'm reading a book called Reading Genesis by the novelist Marilynne Robinson. She is an unabashed Christian and a great defender of John Calvin. And I'm finding, as I expect to find, much to disagree with in her book, but also much to interest, educate, and enlighten me. The book is her reflections on reading the biblical book of Genesis itself. She compares Genesis with other origin myths from the ancient Middle East and argues the notion of covenant is what is distinctive about Judaism in world religions and about Christianity as an offshoot of it. In other words, the ancient gods who figure in Babylonian myths such as the Enuma Elish and the Epic of Gilgamesh are not about making promises to the human inhabitants of the earth. But I get ahead of myself. The original theological meaning of covenant stems from such promises God makes to humans in the stories of Genesis. After the flood, God makes a promise to the human race in the person of Noah that he will never again attempt to eliminate all life on earth. The symbol of this covenant is the rainbow. Later in Genesis, God makes a promise to Abraham that he will make of Abraham's descendants a great nation. This seems impossible at the time because Abraham's wife Sarah is elderly and barren. But the impossible happens, and she bears the child Isaac. When she first heard the news, she broke out laughing, and so she named the child Isaac, which means laughter. The covenant with Abraham and his descendants is reaffirmed 2 generations later with Jacob or Israel. But then there's the Egyptian slavery, and God makes a new covenant with Moses to lead the Israelites out of slavery. It seems for a while that they will perish in the Sinai desert. But then God comes down with the 10 Commandments and the law of Moses, and the covenant is revived. These Genesis covenants are what we might call vertical agreements between God and humans. What Marilynne Robinson does in deconstructing them, which I've never seen another writer do, is to note the parallels between the flood, the source of the first covenant, and the seventh-day creation story in Genesis 1. In a sense, that creation story can be seen as the first covenant, and the moral judgment of God at the end of each day was the work he had done was good. If the creation of the world is seen as a covenant, a promise God made to the human race, then how did it go awry? Was it from Adam's disobedience in the Garden of Eden, or from Cain's murder of his brother Abel, or from some cause lying beneath the text of the Genesis stories? Covenant theology is complex when questions like this are pursued. But the word covenant had other uses in our history. When our Puritan forebears set out from England to found churches and communities such as this one, they used covenant as a horizontal concept. People can create a body politic, religious and corporate, by agreement among the humans involved. This is how New England Congregationalism gave birth to American democracy. When God is the maker of a promise to Noah or Moses or Abraham, that promise can be seen as a kind of blessing. This is how Marilynne Robinson sees it. But when we transfer it to the interhuman context, what is it? How does it differ from an ordinary contract? It seems to me, more than just an agreement. It can be the cause which calls you to devote your life to it. It doesn't have to be mysterious or mythical or supernatural. As I look at the 3/4 centuries I've been walking on this earth, I think I answered the call of something at midlife. Maybe it was the cause of liberalism, the idea that truth and wisdom emerge from a dialogue between different viewpoints in a setting of mutual respect, mindfulness, and empathy. But I think it can be expressed more simply than that. Covenant is the agreement to walk together on the road of life. The most explicit articulation of congregational polity, as it emerged in New England in the 17th century, was the Cambridge Platform of Church Discipline, which uses the words walk together frequently. I've studied the Cambridge Platform. I think I have a simpler, even simpler and more basic definition of covenant for liberal churches. There's not one thing which is a covenant, but it is different for each person and for the same person at different times. A practical definition is covenant is what gets you out of bed on Sunday morning and motivates you to go to church. That was a laugh line. Face it, folks, humans are social creatures. Some of us more so than others, and some of us more or less under different circumstances. There's an old song that expresses this idea in a way that I like, called A Pleasure to Know You. And the chorus goes, it's a pleasure to know you, a pleasure to see you smile, a comfort to know we'll share the road a while. Pleasures are fleeting, comforts are far between, a pleasure to know you and the comforts you bring. What is a liberal church at its best? It's a place where we agree to share the road a while, a place to afflict the comfortable and comfort the afflicted, a place where we can have adult conversations about real things, where we can enjoy a good laugh, where we can offer support and friendship and practice how we think the good life should be lived, where we can pay back the privileges under which we live and ever so slightly bring into being the better world we would like to see our children and grandchildren inherit. Or as my mentor, Victor Carpenter, used to say, where we can get together to F the ineffable. A few days ago, the nation marked the 4th anniversary of the COVID pandemic. We have not yet totaled up the entire impact on our spirits and bodies of that plague. Yes, most of us adapted to the extreme social isolation that was required of us. And there are probably some who are listening to these words today that still shy away from theaters, concerts, or sporting events where people congregate en masse. I think the challenge of the pledge campaign and the pandemic, I think of those, and it reminds me of something Jacqueline and I did in the early days of COVID. We have 2 grandsons in England, as many of you know, and we had watched kids' cartoons with them on one of our visits just before COVID broke out. One of the cartoon heroes was a construction contractor named Bob the Builder. The plot of each show was the same. Bob and his friends, which included talking trucks and cement mixers, would tackle whatever construction problem was presented. His theme song was, "Can we fix it?" The answer was always, "We can fix it." As our COVID grandparents project, Jacqueline and I decided to use our cell phones to make a video spoof taking off on Bob the Builder, which involved making breakfast in our jammies in the kitchen with all kinds of non-food hardware. We both sang the theme, "We can fix it." It was a hit with the grandkids. That's the attitude we're looking for in this pledge drive. We can fix it, one step at a time. As a country, we have been through a lot in these years, and Old Ship has certainly been through its share of its challenges. But we are rebounding. Slowly. We are reporting almost as many members to the UUA as we did before the pandemic. We have a coming of age program, which will be reporting its credos to the larger congregation in a few weeks. In its deepest essence, Unitarian Universalism is still going strong on the South Shore. We have a hardworking committee planning the construction of new community space. We have leadership in touch with the UUA about seeking an interim minister. Step by step, together. It is a pleasure to share the road a while. A couple of days ago, I went into the old book section of the bookcase in our parlor to do a little research. Fan turned me on to this. This was great old histories there that you can see for free. I wanted to find out what congregational life was like in Old Ship 100 years ago, to give you some perspective as you contemplate your pledge cards this year. In the annual report from 1924, there was a message from the minister of that time addressed to the non-residents of Hingham. He was trying to make the point that if circumstances kept them from living in Hingham, there were still ways they could support Old Ship. They even had a fund called the Absent Members Fund. He listed about 47 absent members in Massachusetts, 5 in the rest of New England, 16 in the rest of the U.S., and 4 abroad. I don't know that any larger demographic trends can be extrapolated from these facts, but I do hope that any Old Shippers who want to contribute to the pledge campaign today will feel invited and appreciated for doing so. I doubt if that fund is still available, but you can find a way to do it. Rome wasn't built in a day, or rebuilt either. It takes a group effort to recover from the blows like we have had in this pandemic. It takes a commitment to the value of community. Step by step, one step at a time. You don't need to fly. You don't need to leapfrog. One step at a time. I found a great old Union song that goes with the theme. So let's turn to 157 in the hymnal. And it has an old Irish melody to boot. Let's sing it twice while you're thinking of how much you want to pledge in this year's drive. Number 157. Yes. We're going to hear the tune one time through. Please join me in extending the chalice with the words that are in your order of service. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. Because of those who came before, we are. In spite of their failings, we believe. Because of and in spite of the horizons of their visions, we too dream. Let us go remembering to praise, to live in the moment, to love mightily, to bow to the mystery. Amen. Mike. Then we have Dave Levier. We're welcome to everybody come down the hill to some coffee with us.